Good morning, everybody. It's the Daywalker Reporter here today to bring you guys a video. Do you want to be right or wrong? That's the first question I want to ask. There's a very interesting cultural zeitgeist, cultural dynamic. I don't know what the right word is to use to describe it. Sort of thing that exists not only on YouTube, but I see it on Reddit and I see it on 4chan, of this sort of modern day culture of schooling. Now, what is schooling? Schooling is essentially making a statement about how you're right and how the other person is wrong. You got your channels like Destiny, you got your channels like Amazing Atheists, you have individuals like Ben Shapiro, and then you have Jordan Peterson. You have people who are on the right and who are on the left, and they have made YouTube channels to, in essence, invite people on and argue their points about how society works, how reality works, how people should interact with each other, what different dynamics contribute to certain issues that people have. And it's a very interesting thing. And I definitely see the positive aspects of it because you have this sort of safe environment. Because the internet, for the most part, is a pretty safe environment if we're dealing with like physical violence or anything. Now, when it comes to careers, that's a little bit different. But you get what I'm trying to say. It serves a pretty good purpose. But one of the major issues I have with it is this whole idea of being right and being wrong. For example, if someone has more experience in the world, has been around and done a lot of different things, have written books and experienced life, but if they're in a situation where they're having an argument, right? All of that, does it really matter if you're unable to come to a consensus with the other person or come to an understanding with the other person? Does it matter that the argument even happened? And it's one of the most nihilistic aspects of the modern day conceptions of schooling culture, is because it's not even about trying to understand how someone came to a certain conclusion or how someone came to a certain answer that they might have. It's always about, okay, well, I'm right, this other person is wrong. Let me school this person. Let me make a statement about how this person is either morally reprehensible or whatever, without acknowledging the fact that, yeah, these people are complicated and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that none of these people ever acknowledge that. All I'm saying is that it's something that I've observed to be the case, where someone will bring someone onto their channel and knowingly know that that person is a representation of the weakest form of that particular argument, that particular stance, will bring them onto their channel and make a statement about, okay, this person is completely out there, makes no sense, is just spouting a bunch of nonsense, when that person probably doesn't have the level of capability to explain what their idea is that's at the same level as someone who's more experienced in their understanding, someone who's put a lot of effort into formulating their argument about it. Those type of individuals are the ones that, if you're going to have a conversation with, those might be the best people to talk to. Now, I'm not 100% in all cases directly accusing these channels of doing this. Probably Destiny and probably individuals like Ben Shapiro probably are the most common individuals who do this a lot. And there are some people who don't even try to engage in the aspect of even arguing. They mostly engage in the aspect of like trying to strong arm themselves into being right, when really it's just an example of someone quote unquote dominating a conversation, but they're still wrong. It's just they are good at talking fast or good at constantly aggressing. And when I'm dealing with situations like that, or not dealing with it because I'm not actively dealing with it, I'm mostly an observer. When I'm observing situations like that, it's more problematic for me, because it shows that the person's goal isn't to come to a greater like consensus or come to a conclusion with the person. Their goal is to impose their conclusion onto the person. So it's like when people go into arguments, it's always this air of, I'm right, let me prove myself that I'm right. It's always deductive. It's always boxing in the other party into this dynamic of being wrong. And when I think about where this comes from, I'm constantly wondering, like, what within our socio-cultural zeitgeist that exists today on YouTube, on Reddit, on different sites like that, it's like the reason why people are so wanting to school other people is because of this understanding or belief that people who are different than you, people who don't necessarily agree with you or look at things the same way as you, are automatically trying to be in opposition with you, when some perspectives don't even want to have anything to do with you. It's not even that. It's like they just want to be understood. They just want to be able to exist within the world and not be ridiculed by other people, you know? And they may not have the best arguments to represent that, because they might have a perspective that previously wasn't normal, that previously wasn't accepted, that previously wasn't understood, that in the past was constantly schooled over and over and over again, to the point where it's become very difficult for them to make a case for their perspective, you know. And, you know, like I said in the video I made about anime review versus curation, I touched upon very briefly the type of story, the difference between sort of Kisho Tenketsu types of storytelling, which is like an ancient Eastern style of storytelling, where it's more focused on trying to understand one another. It's not really about trying to be in conflict with other things, because at the end of the day, you're not always at conflict with stuff that you don't understand. It's just, you don't understand it. You gotta learn about it. And that's all. And sometimes it's better to just learn about stuff and try to understand our reality that we live in, because it's only through understanding that any sort of societal peace will happen. Or not even just societal peace, but just people being able to interact without wanting to break each other's necks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of a frustrating thing. And it reminds me of the other day when I was on Reddit and people were and I was asking the question about stories without conflict, and there was just a massive sort of slew of individuals who were just very quick to just sort of be like, nope, the story needs conflict. Story needs conflict or else it's going to be boring. The story needs conflict or else it's not going to be engaging. People aren't going to be able to connect with it because it's going to be something that's so out there that no one can relate to it. And then they told me that conflict is in every aspect of the world that we live in. And to a lot of degrees, I agree with that. But I guess the point I was trying to make in that Reddit post wasn't necessarily that conflict needs to be absent from the story. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the focus of the conflict isn't really trying to make a statement over which side is the correct side. And it's more so just trying to be two sides trying to come to an understanding of one another. You know, like when I was reading on like sort of books like The Journey to the West, there was conflict in it, I'm not going to lie, but the focus was on how can we get these two characters to come to some sort of agreement, come to some sort of conclusion, and understand one another on a deeper level so that things don't so that we can move forward, so that they can move forward and gain the ultimate thing at the end of it, which was more so about them trying to understand things. I mean, sure, there was a lot more internal conflict than external conflict, but for me, the most compelling type of conflict is the internal conflict. But yeah, this video is getting a little bit too long. It was just me rambling. Tell me what you think about this idea. Tell me what you think about this concept, and I'll see you guys in the next one.